The Galactic Survival Academy clung to Station Crucible like a tenacious metallic parasite, all shimmering spires and fortified hull plating, engineered to endure the universe's most violent outbursts, a prudent design given its mission. After all, when your entire reason for existing revolves around instructing sentient life how to cheat a gruesome death on planets actively trying to kill them, robust structural integrity transforms from a mere advantage into an absolute career-defining necessity. Jackson Blackwood stood in the orientation hall, hands nestled deep within his jacket's embrace, observing what could accurately be termed the cosmos's most lavish menagerie, save for the uniformed creatures undergoing apparent emotional meltdowns near the free refreshments. "Attention, cadets!" the resonant voice commanded, its authority hinting at countless intimidating mirror rehearsals. Instructor Vexthara advanced, her Zentoran physique a formidable presence in Academy blues, a paragon of military precision at 6.5 feet, radiating an aura that declared, "I have dominated galaxies," and meticulously categorized them, her species' signature cranial ridges, illuminated by the overhead lights, lent her the aspect of an exquisitely adorned primeval hunter. "Greetings," she proclaimed, her amber gaze encompassing the throng. "I am Instructor Vexthara. Over the coming standard cycle, my duty is to cultivate in you a rudimentary comprehension of navigating terrains actively plotting your demise, which, statistically, it encompasses about 97% of the galaxy's potentially habitable worlds." A skittish chattering rippled from the rear. Jax pivoted, spotting a Glorian cadet whose skin morphed into a shade of profound existential dread, green. The creature resembled a jellyfish undergoing a full-blown nervous breakdown, its translucent flesh broadcasting raw emotion in vivid hues. As Kleep, Vexra observed seamlessly, Globians primarily communicate chromatically. Green usually signifies anxiety, although in Kleep's case, I'd wager, we'll undoubtedly witness more of that unique hue. Klee's complexion instantly morphed into a richer emerald, validating the instructor's analysis. Right then, Vexthara proceeded, projecting a holographic display which shimmered above the assembly, resembling a 3D textbook undergoing an existential crisis. Let's delve into your purpose here. The Galactic Categorization Framework acknowledges 10 separate tiers of planetary sustainability, extending from Class 1, a prime vacation spot, to Class 10, signifying instant annihilation, your continued existence. This intensive training readies you for deployment to worlds classified as Class 7 or lower. A colossal draconian near the vanguard, a clawed hand ascending. Thornax, if Jax recalled the briefing right, stood a staggering 8 feet, his physique a testament to evolution's bold experiment, a fusion of Herculean strength and reptilian ferocity. His scales shimmered with an otherworldly iridescence, likely breathtaking in sunlight, yet under these sterile lights, he resembled an oversized, volatile disco ball. "Instructor," Thornax growled, exuding the unwavering assurance of one who's never faced a problem insurmountable by sheer size and will. "Undeniably, some possess an inherent advantage. My home world, Draconis Prime, is infamous for its brutal environment. We routinely endure volcanic tempests, lethal atmospheric pockets, and predators that would utterly decimate weaker species." Vexthar's face remained impassive, yet a subtle shift in her stance implied she was mentally categorizing Thornak as an excessively self-assured simpleton. "Reptilian, ah yes. Draconis Prime, Class 4 designation, if my data is correct. A challenge for civilian populations, undoubtedly, but scarcely a genuine Deathworld. She motioned towards her holo display, which promptly projected a revolving image of Thornak's home planet. It appeared rather inviting, Jax observed, showcasing numerous crimson rock formations and seemingly moderately active volcanoes, akin to Arizona, albeit with a higher sulfur content. Suddenly, Thornak's voice rose sharply, elevated, generating a resonance on a being of his magnitude akin to a cement mixer engaged in a heated dispute with a foghorn virtuoso, surely an oversight. Volcanic activity yields a delightful heating matrix for your subterranean networks. Indeed, a stroke of brilliance, really. Ancestors adapted admirably to a moderately stimulating locale. Vexthari conveyed a tone of refined professionalism reserved for elucidating rudimentary notions to youngsters. Nonetheless, this institution prepares for drastically intensified hazards, showcasing vivid planetary profiles. Class 5 worlds displayed exceptionally fierce storms and deadly predators. Class 6 unveiled environmental threats that aggressively targeted life forms. Class 7 showcased reality-bending physical anomalies. "Let's analyze your home worlds," she declared. "This vital step lets me gauge everyone's readiness." Vexithara surveyed some crystalline beings. "Greetings, Earthlings. The glimmering silicoids of Refracta are thrilled to enlighten you." These crystalline beings echoed in perfect harmony, their forms capturing and refracting light into dazzling rainbows. Their representative, a creature of meticulously crafted or remarkably evolved facets, announced, "Esteemed instructor, our planet poses intriguing obstacles. The silicon-based plant life can achieve sentience and vehemently opposes our resource extraction. Furthermore, our star emits radiation frequencies that trigger unpredictable carbon crystallization in Class 3. Vexara evoked excitement, aggressive flora, environmental risks necessitate species-unique evolution, congruent with standard inhabited world metrics." The interrogation persisted. The Aquas Collective originating from Depth's Edge illustrated a high-pressure oceanic planet. Critical perils are debilitating depths and hyperdimensional life forms existing across 17 planes simultaneously. Class 5, Hive Minds from Coordination Central. Detailed difficulties maintaining individual uniqueness and combating planetary-scale telepathic assimilation. Cataclysmic Class 4 storms. Each species showcased their homeworld's hazards with a blend of pride and anxiety. Each received a classification that subtly diminished their cosmic importance. Jax found the process strangely soothing, akin to watching nature documentaries infused with existential dread. Finally, Vexthara's gaze landed on him. "You, Cadet Blackwood, Earth." "That's correct," Jax replied neutrally, having learned that enthusiasm in formal settings was unwise, frequently misconstrued as cynicism or a precarious grip on reality. Vexthara scrutinized her datapad, a slight frown creasing her brow. Class 2 classification, Garden World, temperate climate fluctuations, negligible hostile fauna. Your species attained interstellar travel with astonishing swiftness, given such a placid environment. She met his gaze, perhaps with a touch of compassion, that this training could prove exceptionally demanding for you, Cadet. Your homeworld's sheltered existence hasn't equipped you for authentic survival paradigms. "I'll adapt," Jax responded, a statement of fact. He'd persevered admirably since age 12, grasping that the chasm between mere survival and genuine flourishing hinges largely on mindset and proper hydration. Kip's complexion now sported a peculiar golden-orange hue, which Jax perceived as either profound intrigue or a touch of culinary distress. The Globian glided nearer, exhibiting the kind of fluid elegance that implied their species had blossomed in an aquatic realm and never fully acclimated to land. Earth-human, Jax's voice echoed from what he presumed was their vocal apparatus. Although on Glorians, demarcations between anatomical structures appeared subjective. Theoretical than practical. What unique challenges define your Class 2 reality? Jax pondered. How do you depict Earth to entities familiar with sentient flora and 17-dimensional leviathans, yet perceive those as genuine threats? He opted, primarily, atmospheric conditions, and certain large fauna, localized resource depletion. Thornak emitted a sound Jax interpreted as draconian amusement, akin to quarreling mountains. Weather? On a Class 2 world? What could it possibly inflict? Perhaps sporadic precipitation. Jax concurred, recalling Hurricane Katrina, the 2011 tsunami, and that unforgettable week in 2019 when Australia flirted with becoming a continent-sized barbecue. Gets a tad blustery sometimes, too. Cadet Blackwood Beakstar interjected, I admire your humility, but there's no disgrace in admitting your world's vulnerabilities. Earth's main threats seem to be trivial atmospheric events, and, according to our data, oversized mammals with sharp teeth. Hardly the ingredients for true terror. Jax responded with a courteous nod. Opting to omit humanity's broadened definition of large, fanged beasts, encompassing apex predators like great white sharks and polar bears, not to mention the infamous 2021 grizzly bear genetic modification debacle, a swiftly terminated project that birthed the media-christened Murder Bears, a description both chillingly accurate and severely lacking in nuance. Vexthara smoothly transitioned. Now then, let's proceed with your equipment assignments. The subsequent hour unveiled an exhaustive briefing on essential survival apparatus, tailored for a multitude of galactic species, absolutely vital for perilous environment operations. Individual atmosphere, revitalizers for intensely polluted air circumstances, gravitational balancers for planets exhibiting erratic gravitational forces, distress signal, broadcasters for apocalyptic scenarios necessitating familial explanations regarding Academy property retrieval expenses. Jax received his equipment allotment solemnly, albeit cognizant. The critical survival apparatus primarily addressed readily avoidable predicaments. Prioritize situational awareness and avoid imprudent actions. The personal atmosphere recycler, a marvel capable of filtering toxic gases and providing breathable air for 72 hours, was, however, the size and weight of a compact refrigerator, Vexthara stated, concluding the briefing. A Methanian near the rear inquired, raising what Jax presumed to be their version of a hand, despite their crossbreed-like anatomy. Spider and a filing cabinet. Anatomical designations stemmed more from hopeful expectations. Instructor, what scenarios await us in practicals? Great question, Cadet Philan. Your training commences with fundamental environmental acclimation, severe temperature fluxes, brutal weather events, resource depletion. Simulations escalate to truly demanding situations until you master genuine Class 7 conditions. She adjusted her holodisplay, showcasing Academy training centers. Impressive in that manufactured way. Engineered to replicate catastrophic demise, we utilized climate simulations capable of conjuring Arctic tundras and volcanic infernos. Ecosystem modules meticulously populated with fierce extraterrestrial predators, and obstacle trails seemingly devised by a sadistic engineering genius. Your initiation commences promptly at 0600 hours tomorrow. Dedicate this evening to mastering your gear and steeling your resolve for drastically amplified realities. Challenging than your familiar homeworlds. As orientation ended and cadets streamed out, Jax observed burgeoning conversations. Thornak boisterously proclaimed his draconian physique's superior adaptation to harsh environments. Silicoids intoned a dirge-like harmony, potentially a complex shopping manifest. Cleep, now anxiously purple, attempted friendships, randomly praising species appendages. Earth-human, Jax, Klep. Approaching with an optimistic turquoise hue, Klep proposed, "Might you entertain a training alliance? My kind thrives in environmental mastery, while your Class 2 world exposure could uniquely enhance my skill set." Jax mused. Klep seemed trustworthy. Their chromatically expressive communication strangely calming. Moreover, an ally whose emotions were visually displayed offered simplified social navigation. Indeed, Jax affirmed, a partnership resonates well. Instantly, Klep radiated what Jax perceived as a joyous, kaleidoscopic burst, was stunning and faintly sickening, strolling towards the dorms. Jax overheard snippets. Cadets compared deadly homeworlds, forecasted training failures, and built quick hierarchies based on survival strengths. Nobody cared about the quiet human from the gentle Class 2 garden world. Perfect for Jax. He knew being underestimated was his keenest advantage. Could have, and tomorrow when they commenced their field exercises under severe circumstances, he anticipated needing every conceivable edge, not due to the environment's intensity, but clarifying to a throng of extraterrestrials why a human found their concept of lethal survival. Challenges somewhat soothing could pose a greater threat than any simulated hostile planet the Academy could conjure. The Academy's environmental chamber mirrored the outcome if a truly malevolent architect acquired unlimited resources and a directive to prepare for the galaxy's ultimate haunted dome, a colossal city-sized monstrosity festering in the station's underbelly, reeking of mechanical hubris. Instructor Vexara, unnervingly chipper at precisely 0600 hours, considering her probable upright slumber, addressed the assembled cadets. Her keen amber eyes gleamed with the unsettling fervor of tax auditors and soldiers who inexplicably adore their jobs. "Today," she declared, gesturing towards the looming entrance, "we commence hands-on terror. Your initial ordeal waits. Basic environmental acclimatization on a simulated Class 6 World Code designation, Rainfall." Thornak exhibited his remarkable musculature scales, shimmering under the simulated lighting. Rainfall instructor, surely a mere precipitation event presents little obstacle to beings of our caliber. Vexar's countenance was utterly impassive. As if sculpted from granite, Cadet Thornak, I urge you to uphold that assurance. You'll discover it enlightening. The chamber's interior transcended logical spatial constraints what initially appeared. The deceptively compact exterior had unfurled into an expansive vista of undulating hills, lush foliage, and an unsettlingly convincing sky crafted from holographic projections and atmospheric effects. "Your mission is straightforward," Vexara declared, as cadets dispersed across the launch zone. "Endure 12 hours within this simulated environment. Pinpoint the extraction beacon's location somewhere in the operational area. Evade termination from environmental dangers and the local wildlife. Any questions?" Leap's complexion had already morphed into that telltale, impending doom verdant hue Jax was now familiar with. "Instructor, clarify the terms of elimination." "Excellent query. The simulation meticulously tracks your biometrics and stress levels. Breach critical thresholds, and you're yanked for medical assessment, a disqualification, FYI. She glanced at her chronometer, relishing the impending spectacle. 30 seconds to equip your survival kit. Commence. The clock is ticking. Seconds showcased a captivating analysis of species-specific panic reactions. The silicids launched into a harmonious chorus resembling either a heartfelt supplication or a profoundly intricate mathematical formulation. The Methanians erupted in rapid, staccato clicks, hinting at either urgent tactical communication or shared mental disintegration. Thornak meticulously tweaked his gravitic stabilizer, radiating the self-assurance of one who believes any challenge can be conquered with sheer brawn. Jax donned his equipment, displaying the, with meticulous precision honed over decades, the atmospheric recycler draped over his shoulders, akin to an exceptionally weighty pack. An array of sensors and backup tech clicked reassuringly onto his belt. The entire rig, tipping the scales at about 40 pounds, was featherlight compared to a typical weekend hike in Earth's great parks. "Time, Vexar," he stated. "Simulation commencing in 3, 2, 1. The heavens then unleashed a deluge that made mere rain sound like a lit match next to an inferno. Plummeted from the synthetic skies with a meteorological ferocity usually seen in legendary deluges and wrathful weather deities experiencing catastrophic days. Visibility instantly plummeted to a mere 3 feet, transforming the meticulously maintained grounds into a swirling morass of sludge, wreckage, and increasingly frantic extraterrestrial trainees near Refraction Crystal Mine 7. One of the silicids lamented, their normally flawless crystalline surface now obscured by condensation. "This unprecedented deluge defies all plausible atmospheric parameters." Jax brushed water from his vision and surveyed the scene. Riveted, he watched the downpour, undeniably akin to a severe thunderstorm, as meteorologists would concur, yet devoid of electrifying lightning. A phenomenon demanding indoor refuge, perhaps with a raincoat, as news alerts would advise. A peculiar chirping then seized his focus. Clay nestled under a ravaged ornamental shrub, their radiant skin shifting hues, revealing their emotional state. State had morphed from sheer panic into realms demanding serious therapeutic intervention. "Clear, Jax," he yelled, wading through ankle-deep water, swiftly rising to knee-deep. "You all right there?" Earth-Human's voice held palpable relief. "This downpour obliterates all survivability thresholds. My species thrives on stable humidity for respiration." Jax scanned around, spotting his goal, a sizable boulder, fortuitously near trees for added shelter. "Follow me," he urged, already advancing towards the haven. "Let's find you refuge from this downpour." Their trek across a mere 30 feet of mire was, in Click's estimation, a monumental undertaking. Their skin pulsed with hues that Jax was starting to read as a mixture of profound relief and sheer panic, likely a fair assessment. "How do you sustain such serene emotional composure?" Klee inquired, as they found respite under the rocky outcrop. The overhang offered reasonable safeguard from the relentless deluge, and Jax assembled a makeshift shelter utilizing his emergency tarp and fortuitously placed branches. "Just a bit of rain," Jax remarked, meticulously inspecting his gear for water intrusion. "The Academy's equipment, it appears, surpasses my initial estimations. Everything is functioning flawlessly despite the thorough drenching. This downpour is quite commonplace back home." Kleep's dermal layer mirrored shock, perhaps even terror, Does your Class 2 realm commonly endure cataclysms of this scale? Granted, not perpetually for 12 solid hours, but indeed, occasionally extending further. Jax mused on monsoon seasons, yet opted against overwhelming Kip's already fragile sensibilities. A monumental crash reverberated through the simulated landscape, succeeded by a torrent of draconian expletives. Through the downpour, Jax discerned Thornak's colossal silhouette, struggling within an escalating quagmire. Initiate rendering? Klee inquired about their complexion, a blend of apprehension and strong self-preservation. Jax grabbed emergency rope from his pack. Stay put, stay dry. I'll return promptly. The salvage mission lasted roughly 15 minutes, demanding inventive leverage, rope mastery, and Thornak's eventual reluctant acknowledgement that his enhanced draconian physique wasn't ideal for muddy terrain. Jax extracted the colossal alien from the small lake, Thornak saturated head to toe in a peculiar muck. Resembled chocolate pudding visually, yet emitted a far more offensive odor. Human, Thornak boomed, water cascading off his scales as he struggled to reclaim composure. Your aid is, he conceded. Not a problem, Jax responded, already winding his rope, anticipating the next unavoidable predicament amidst the cacophony of diverse species in peril, echoing throughout the fabricated tempest. The subsequent hours solidified a routine. Jax pinpointed cadets facing imminent danger, executed swift rescue maneuvers, imparted fundamental survival counsel, then progressed to the subsequent catastrophe. Silicids urgently needed aid, as their crystal structures suffered critical fractures due to sudden thermal variations. Mthanians desperately sought support after water corrupted their personal atmosphere recyclers. Even the autonomous Aquos collective faltered, overwhelmed by an unprecedented deluge. This is exceptionally abnormal, declared Filthen, the Methanian cadet, their arachnid limbs visibly struggling for purchase. The treacherous mire of this alien world defied our simulations, which, though featuring extensive flooding scenarios, paled in comparison. Jensen aided Filarn across a particularly precarious patch of unstable ground. What flooding models did we utilize? He queried. Standard methane downpours, ranging from ankle-deep to mid-thorax level, with viscosity indices calibrated for our atmospheric constituents, Filarn responded, voice echoing the exactness of a recited training manual. This water-based deluge presents a vastly different challenge. Confronting unique physical adversities, Jax offered a courteous nod, struggling to envision a reality where ankle-high pools of liquid methane were considered cutting-edge disaster preparedness. It felt akin to hurricane preparation, using a mere garden sprinkler. Yet every endeavor must commence somewhere. By the 8th hour, the cadets had organically clustered into smaller units, drawn to individuals who projected the greatest capacity for averting imminent demise, surprisingly, including Jam. Kleep remained tethered to him, never venturing more than 10 feet away, maintaining a serene aquamarine, signifying cautious optimism, a skill he'd honed. Thornak reluctantly embraced a role within Jax's burgeoning survival collective, despite persistent grumbling about the Academy's inadequate simulation metrics. Jax of Terra, remarked Crystalline, a silicid grateful for Jax's ingenious use of emergency sealant to mend her stress fractures. Your terrestrial expertise with precipitation phenomena has been exceptionally beneficial, perhaps. Earth's Class 2 rating grossly underestimates environmental adversities, Jax mused. If the Academy deemed this a survival trial, their dangerous environment metrics required significant revision. The persistent deluge was diminishing, unveiling a terrain thoroughly embellished with countless tons of mud and shredded Academy paraphernalia. "Extraction beacon located," Thornak declared, positioned by what once a modest hill. Now that colossal draconian indicates a metallic structure ablaze with reassuring emergency lights, roughly 500 meters away. "Outstanding," Jack noted, consulting his chronometer. 4 hours remained, ample time to reach the beacon, even factoring in rough terrain and potential Academy curveballs. Naturally, that's precisely when the simulation unveiled its next learning experience, a deep, resonant rumble. Distant rumblings or mere discomfort within something immense, it escalated relentlessly until undeniable that its source was swiftly approaching, and unlikely amicable indigenous fauna, Crystalline calmly observed, exhibiting either remarkable composure or utter psychological detachment. Simulation parameters alluded to potential wildlife skirmishes. Through dissipating mists, gargantuan shapes materialized from encompassing foliage animated figures, exhibiting a frightening excess of teeth ill-suited to any creature born of benign intent, emerged near Dryonis Prime's fiery summits. Thornak's former bravado dissolved like the morning dew. "What beings are these?" Jack observed the advancing beasts with keen, expert scrutiny. They resembled wolves, yet grotesquely enlarged threefold, fortified with additional limbs for unwavering balance, and armed with a dental arsenal hinting at a diet exclusively comprised of the unyielding and unpalatable. Driven by a hunger to devour, they are pack hunters. He keenly noted mentally documenting its locomotion and overt strengths, possibly hardwired with fundamental hunting routines. They will aim to isolate us and target the vulnerable. Isolate. Kip's skin now showcased a hue absent in any earthly palette. What protective measures can we leverage against those things? Jack scanned their cohort, assessing all assets and strategic plays. 6 cadets, sundry species, boasting varied physical prowess, academy-grade survival equipment, and roughly 3 minutes before the lupine horrors arrived. He declared, already initiating his plan. "Let's investigate." The entities spawned from the synthetic wilds resembled evolution's design by malevolent children. 6-legged, compact car-sized, armed with teeth to fill a dental depot, moving with unnerving, synchronized accuracy, suggesting outstanding programming or genuine predatory cunning, defensive formations, Thornak roared, seemingly reverting to his species' military protocols. "Establish a perimeter." "In reality," Jack remarked, observing the approaching pack with the dispassionate curiosity of a wildlife observer, "that's arguably the most detrimental course of action we could undertake." "What?" Thornak's voice fractured subtly, a sound emanating from his immense form like a derailed locomotive grappling with an existential quandary. "Human, your terrestrial naivete is dangerously misplaced. These are ultimate predators." Jax tallied the encroaching figures, a dozen in total, advancing in a dispersed array that neutralized any unified countermeasure. Their coordinated advance betrayed calculated pack strategies, honed to exploit vulnerabilities and amplify panic. Textbook predatory tactics, elevated beyond the confines of any conventional manual, penned with a penchant for theatrical excess, remarkably fleet, he noted, eyes fixed on the beings. "Peak emergency velocity attainable by your kind." Klee's complexion morphed through hues beyond conventional nomenclature. "Roughly 15 kpm Rosich, though such bursts induce intense physiological strain. Crystalline and the silicids." "Our mobility is constrained," the crystalline conceded. "Maximum sustainable pace nears 8 kpm/h." "Our on prime terrain," Yax affirmed, diligently absorbing surrounding data. Cadets exhibited species-specific anxiety. Phylan clicked furiously, mimicking furious typing on a hyper-advanced keyboard. Remaining aqueous. Collective members emitted whale-like sounds, philosophizing profoundly about mortality. "Right," Jack declared, adjusting his pack and inventorying his survival kit. "Here's the strategy." Would have struck anyone whose survival training hadn't rigorously involved exposure to wildlife, viewing humans as a culinary conquest, rather than establishing a defensive perimeter inevitably breached under concerted assault. They'd splinter into trios, exploiting the terrain to channel the pack into tactical bottlenecks, where numerical superiority became a liability. "You're suggesting we split up?" Thorne's voice dripped with disbelief typically reserved for self-mutilation proposals. "Human, these creatures orchestrate hunts in cohesive units, meticulously capitalizing on these strategies." "Precisely," Jax responded, swiftly advancing towards a collection of substantial boulders, forming the initial phase of his impromptu obstacle course. "They're designed to target herd animals that cluster defensively. We'll present them with a scenario they're utterly unprepared for." The ensuing 20 minutes descended into orchestrated pandemonium, a stark illustration of why sophisticated societies invented technology to circumvent such predicaments. Jax's strategy demanded precise, sequential team movements through the landscape, leveraging natural obstacles and academy fixtures to forge lethal zones where the creature's pack mentality became their downfall. Jax's voice boomed as Thorneck's squad lured the initial wave into a tight gorge nestled between colossal rocks. "Release the barricades!" The ensuing spectacle showcased the brilliance of Academy engineering and ingenious utilization of rudimentary mechanical leverages, these predators anticipating to ensnare their quarry within the enclosed area. Instead, discovered their pathways obstructed as strategically arranged stones and detritus barricaded their exits. The noises emanating from them indicated their coding encompassed suitable reactions for being outwitted by allegedly weaker prey, illuminated by the vibrant essence of our home world. Christine remarked, her complex surface mirroring the pulsating illuminations of the cornered creatures. "This maneuver showcases exceptional comprehension of predatory, fundamental behavioral patterns," Jax responded, already initiating the subsequent stage of his strategy. Predators employing coordinated pack strategies often exhibit readily anticipated reactions to advantageous terrain. One simply needs to adopt the mindset of a creature intent on devouring you. Queep's epidermis morphed into a display Jax was coming to understand as a blend of profound admiration and existential perplexity. "Earth-human Jax, your native planet must possess a remarkable abundance of predatory life forms to cultivate such acute, tactical insight." "Indeed we do," Jax concurred, recalling great white sharks, grizzly bears, and a particularly memorable encounter. An especially unforgettable camping expedition unfolded when a mountain lion boldly mistook his tent for a prime hunting ambush spot. Thankfully, nothing too dire occurred. The surviving creatures, having evidently learned from their pack's unfortunate demise, adopted a more circumspect strategy. Regrettably for them, Jax's ingenious scheme had foreseen this very tactic. The secondary elimination zone cleverly exploited the Academy's built-in safety protocols against the simulated predators, effectively transforming their prudence into a crippling disadvantage, folks. "Activate the emergency beacon, immediately," Jax commanded, the Methonian poised by an Academy control panel. "It will signal a potential equipment failure," Phil hesitantly stated, their limbs hovering above the switch. What unfolded next highlighted the vital purpose of Academy safety protocols, and why they often proved more hazardous than the very situations they aimed to avert. Emergency lighting blazed across the simulation zone, accompanied the blaring alarm, indicative of a truly disastrous day or a critical system meltdown, sent the remaining creatures instinctively averse to loud noises and flashing lights, fleeing back into the artificial wilderness at breakneck speed. "Ingenious," Thornak stated, his initial panic replaced by a semblance of respect, a rare emotion for Draconians towards inferiors. "You leveraged the Academy's own infrastructure to neutralize the danger. Sometimes the shrewdest tactic is the underdog nobody anticipates," Jax remarked, consulting his chronometer. They still had 2 hours to rendezvous with the extraction beacon, now plainly visible roughly 300 meters away across fairly exposed ground. The trek to the beacon was surprisingly uneventful after the creature skirmish. The Academy had seemingly determined that 2 significant trials per simulation sufficed for pedagogical reasons, enabling the cadets to cover the remaining stretch without further incident, which was perhaps prudent given that. The majority of the group exhibited signs of considerable strain, hinting at the brink of their mental resilience. "Extraction beacon acquired," Crystalline declared as they converged around the metallic device. "Simulation data confirms triumphant completion of survival goals." "Precisely," concurred Filtson, his clicks returning to a more relaxed conversational pace. "Though I must admit, the ordeal proved substantially more arduous than initially projected." Jax offered a courteous nod, yet secretly pondered the true extent of those challenges. Academy deemed suitable for elite training if this sufficed as fundamental environmental acclimation. The rainfall was intense, yet tolerable. The fauna were immense, yet anticipated, and the landscape was challenging, yet traversable. A solid weekend excursion, indeed, though admittedly not optimal for an initial rendezvous. "Cadet," Vexthara's voice echoed from the beacon's comm system with a professional gratification, implying diligent observation of their advancement. "Proceed to decontamination and debriefing." Simulation terminated the chamber's holographic setting, dissipated. Like a meticulously crafted illusion, it unveiled stark metal walls and advanced projection tech that conjured their fleeting wilderness. The shift felt strangely anticlimactic, akin to jolting awake from an epic dream, only to find yourself confined to reality. "Well," Clip remarked, heading towards the exit, their skin shimmering with hues that hinted at contentment laced with liberation. "That was certainly enlightening." "Instructive?" Thornak conceded, though his voice implied the education encompassed trials he'd rather have avoided. "Human Jax, your strategic insights were invaluable." Jax responded, "Your terrain analysis was instrumental." A fair assessment, despite Thornak's mapping often consisting of identifying prominent features as either assets or hindrances. Occasionally, uncomplicated methods yield the greatest results, particularly in inherently simple scenarios. The post-mission review was conducted in a clinical conference chamber. An uncanny blend of cutting-edge technology and mind-numbing monotony, Vexthara assessed their performance with relentless precision, hinting at genuine concern for growth or just exhaustive paperwork. "Total survival time, 11 hours, 43 minutes, she declared, glancing at her datapad. "0 critical stress breaches, no equipment write-offs. A truly exceptional debut, wouldn't you agree?" Instructor Kalen chimed in. "We must recognize Cadet Blackwood's pivotal role, his strategies." Class 2 world awareness far surpassed projections. Bxthar's amber gaze lingered on Jack's, a hint of calculation in its depths. Cadet Blackwood, your performance was exceptional. Elaborate on which specific Earth trials equipped you for tactical predator engagements. Jax paused, contemplating. How does one convey to a being whose species faced threats from dentally challenged creatures that Earth's so-called harmless wildlife encompassed animals capable of shredding car doors are a concern? We're talking about substantial predators, he affirmed. Bears, formidable felines, and wolves. Nothing outlandish, he specified. Bears, Vexthara echoed, meticulously documenting. And these bears demonstrate cooperative hunting strategies akin to the simulated entities. That's unusual. Bears typically operate alone. Wolves engage in pack tactics, though they are less physically imposing than our recent adversaries. Jax hesitated, reflecting. Frankly, those simulated beings were likely more manageable than authentic wolves. Their programming made them predictable. The ensuing quiet implied his statement was either deeply insightful or profoundly unsettling. Killy's complexion subtly altered, a hue undeniably alien to any terrestrial spectrum, while Thorn emitted profound rumblings suggesting intense mental calculations. Kit Blackwood, Vexthara inquired deliberately. Are you implying that the native predators of your planet showcase more nuanced hunting strategies than our advanced Academy simulations? I wouldn't characterize it as superior, Jax responded, detecting potentially delicate conversational ground. Merely distinct real creatures evolve their techniques through exposure simulations. Creatures adhere to programming naturally, Bxtharo conceded, though her tone hinted at mental categorization warranting further scrutiny. Tomorrow, advanced scenario training commences. Extreme temperatures, dwindling resources, and intense psychological stressors. I expect everyone is ready for escalated challenges. As debriefing ended and cadets dispersed, Jack overheard snippets indicating his performance had sparked considerable interest. Various species were analyzing his capabilities. Strategic insights rivaling military tactics or religious doctrine. Earth-human Jax, face displaying thoughtful curiosity, addressed Cleet as they approached the dorms. Tomorrow's simulations should present amplified difficulties compared to today's drills, right? Jax queried. Cleet concurred, silently pondering what the Academy deemed more arduous than formidable predators. Brutal storms, perhaps toxic agents, or worse. Braving harsh temperatures and treacherous terrain rife with genuine geological risks, I'm becoming intensely fascinated by your planet's environmental state. Kip elaborated. Class 2 worlds boast supposedly negligible survival obstacles, yet your readiness seems exceptionally thorough. Jack simply shrugged, recalling his upbringing in the Australian outback during the tumultuous resource wars of the 4040s, where negligible survival obstacles meant contending with brutal sandstorms, devastating flash floods, deadly wildlife, and sporadic incursions by water bandits. Children, legitimate military targets, Earth presents unique challenges, he mused. You invariably adapt, he added, though it understated the profound transformations endured. But tomorrow's intensive training promised ample opportunities for richer cultural immersion. And he anticipated that elucidating Earth's true environmental state could surpass the Academy's formalized lessons. Indeed, if today's foundational survival exercise hinted at anything, the galactic communities. The definition of perilous conditions demanded significant reassessment. The Academy's ultimate testing chamber dwarfed prior facilities, rendering them mere child's play. Confronting the formidable gateway, Jax perceived a potent malevolence emanating from the abyss behind the reinforced blast doors. Advanced Survival Certification Examination, Bethara declared. Simulated Class 7 Deathworld conditions, atmospheric toxicity, gravitational anomalies, hostile ecosystem with aggressive apex predators. Survival time, test commencing. The Thornak scales had noticeably paled. Instructor Class 7 signaled near-theoretical survivability limits for most species. Exactly why this exam distinguishes seasoned survival pros from eager novices. Vexar's amber gaze scanned the group. 15 minutes to prep. Jax tweaked his gear, mentally verifying. Atmospheric recycler, emergency beacon, essential tools, medical supplies, rations. The wait felt reassuring. Earth-human Jax cautiously engaged skin cycling through encroaching anxiety. Colors, I must admit, I'm experiencing substantial trepidation about these Class 7 circumstances. We'll navigate this, Jax, he reassured. Just recall our training. Maintain heightened awareness, judiciously conserve energy, and absolutely do not succumb to panic when the situation intensifies. Intensifies, they echoed, their coloration indicating they were archiving this as a human understatement for sheer, abject terror. Your species exhibits impressive emotional control, the alien noted. The examination chamber's interior warped reality, showcasing colossal planetary vistas extending infinitely. The sun bathed the landscape in an eerie crimson hue, as distant animal cries hinted at ruthless predators. Atmospheric mix, 70% nitrogen, 18% oxygen, 12% toxic compounds, Vector Thara declared. Gravitational coefficient, 1.3 standard. Native fauna, highly territorial, commencing in T-6 hours. This pattern was becoming alarmingly predictable. While other species succumbed to primal fear or desperate survival tactics, Jack found these conditions about as stimulating as a brisk walk. The acrid air necessitated periodic recycler use, yet primarily reeked of manufacturing waste laced with putrid sulfur. The heightened gravity taxed movement, though far from the bone-pulverizing impact reportedly crippling other cadets near Filthan's frozen methane lakes. Gasping, the spider-limbed Filthan struggled against the amplified gravitational pull, prompting Jax to offer support, stating, "This gravitational coefficient vastly surpasses sustainable activity parameters. Navigating a uniquely treacherous rock face, it becomes manageable with familiarity, akin to enhanced resistance training." Filton's clicking hinted at sheer awe or an impending mental collapse. Cadet Blackwood, this signifies a substantial 30% augmentation in operational body mass. Indeed, I observed, Jax mused, recalling youthful summers spent in Australian mining, where safety protocols were merely suggestions, and grueling 12-hour shifts in scorching heat were commonplace. Forge unyielding legs over time. Today's Alpha Predator showdown featured beings resembling a crocodile-armored personnel carrier hybrid, master's-level educated in tactical maneuvers. Jax, for once, was fully engaged, a welcome departure from mundane academy drills. "Defensive positions," Thornak barked, reverting to military protocol ill-equipped for this scale. "Negative," Jax countered, intently analyzing the creature's approach, interest. "Observe their distinct movement patterns." The subsequent 43 minutes involved advanced tactical survival scenarios, deemed by the Academy, but Jack viewed them as engaging wildlife management. The fauna proved larger, swifter, and remarkably smarter than prior simulations, demanding inventive use of terrain, makeshift weapons, and risk assessments honed in a challenging upbringing. Undoubtedly secure was the paramount aspiration one could realistically envision, an extraordinary spectacle. Crystalline was observed as they established camp for the night, her multifaceted surface refracting the extraterrestrial starlight into mesmerizing rainbow-hued emanations. Cadet Blackwood, your strategic adjustments persistently surpass all anticipations for Class 2 world readiness. Vexthara's voice reverberated through their comms with a tinge of what might have been uncertainty. All stations report status green across the board, Instructor Jax responded after verifying his team's well-being. No critical stress signals or equipment malfunctions detected. Systems nominal, Roger. A palpable silence hinted at intense deliberation behind the scenes. Cadet Blackwood, private channel for supplementary intel. Jack excused himself, activating his personal comm. Proceed, Instructor Blackwood. Vexthara's voice resonated with keen, scholarly interest, betraying extensive research. I've been canvassing galactic compendiums regarding Earth's planetary taxonomy, and certain inconsistencies have surfaced. Our records indicate a potential discrepancy, specifically that your homeworld's danger rating appears drastically underestimated. Her tone implied she referenced newly updated documentation, arriving at an inopportune moment. Tell me, Cadet, what constitutes a typical hazardous situation on Earth? Jax thoughtfully pondered this, considering how to convey that typical dangers ranged from civilization-leveling natural calamities to wildlife viewing humans as potential meals. Humans pose a captivating dietary puzzle amidst dynamic climate shifts that routinely reshape landscapes, he stated. Certain areas are tranquil, others become exhilarating. Vexthar's tone flattened, signaling a mental reassessment of core assumptions. Cadet, revised classification data hints Earth might meet Class 12 criteria. Class 12, a hypothetical designation for planets so perilous, sustained life should be unachievable for any known being. Species. Her voice resonated with the astonished incredulity one might expect upon learning their goldfish was a clandestine global operative. These records indicate your homeworld exhibits atmospheric conditions ranging from frigid Arctic to sweltering tropical extremes, intense geological activity, frequently remolding continents. Catastrophic weather systems with city-obliterating potential and apex predators evolved to hunt sentient beings, Jax mused. Considering the data that pretty much sums it up, the ensuing silence implied Vexthara was experiencing a moment of deep understanding or facing the initial phase of a total paradigm shift. Kate Blackwood remarked, "So you've been nonchalantly navigating training simulations crafted to test entities from Class 7 apex predator planets, drawing on insights gleaned from a Class 12 unbelievably deadly ecosystem. If you insist, Mentor." An extended silence followed, assessment finalized. All cadets, proceed for immediate evacuation and comprehensive post-simulation analysis. As the simulation faded and Academy staff appeared to guide the triumphant graduates back to the real world, Jax noticed Kleep's intrigued expression. Thornneck's newfound respect was evident as they headed for the exit. "It appears we profoundly misjudged your planet's ecological adversities." Zhao Jax concurred, perhaps just a tad. He mused that the Academy's unsurvivable mirrored Earth's average Tuesday, clarifying galactic apprehension about Deathworld survival. Your definition of deadly stops at conditions. Humanity's perception of benign climates swiftly transitioned into an indispensable professional standard. Perhaps, Jax mused, as they entered the debriefing zone, Vexthara rewriting Academy Doctrine Live, the galaxy must reassess its classification schema. If Class 12 signifies insurmountable odds, additional tiers are imperative.